Growing up, me and my siblings spent a lot of time at Grandma's house, and obviously we loved Grandma, we loved seeing her. There was a lot of time where she'd just be talking with our parents, and what were we supposed to do during all that time? There was the bag of old McDonald's toys, there was those weird board games that none of us knew how to play, and then there was the TV with a plethora of VHS tapes to watch. Now that was the fun one. Growing up in a Christian family, my grandma would always shop at the Christian bookstore, which is where we pretty much got all of our tapes. Obviously the big one being VeggieTales. I mean, it was huge at the turn of the millennium, and we all loved it. It was a computer animated show for kids. While still teaching those Christian values, it was still super silly, fun, and entertaining. It was a recipe for success. Success that other companies wanted. One day at Grandma's house, we found a new VHS tape. We had so many VeggieTales tapes that I'm sure she wanted to try something new. A new computer animated show, a show that was sure to be the next big thing in Christian children's entertainment.
Scary, isn't it?
Okay, let's go.
Huh. Let's talk about that. So what is this? Where did it come from? And what the hell was that thing? There's a chance you've seen some of these clips before. It's a show called Gaither's Pond, and it's become pretty infamous in a few online communities, usually labeling it as the ugliest cartoon of all time. First of all, no. It's so common for people online to find clips of old cartoons, like bootleg and straight-to-DVD stuff, and be like, whoa, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Why would they make this? Who did they make this for? And I was so surprised because they made it for me. I watched that when I was like 4, and I was like, oh, I know this one. I watched that like probably 50 times, and I remember it honestly so well. It was like, people call it like a fever dream, but I was like, I honestly have like conflicting memories about it. Like, I think I liked it. I think I liked it for very weird reasons, and I definitely wanted to like revisit it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first I want to go into a little bit about like where it came from so you can get some context. If you have Christian grandparents, there's a chance you probably recognize the name from that title. The Gaithers are a famous family in the Christian entertainment industry, most famous for their Gaither vocal band, founded in 1981. They became famous for their Southern gospel music albums and DVDs. Led and founded by Bill Gaither, who had been making music since at least 1956 with his wife Gloria, they created a mini empire under the Gaither Music Group, helping to create careers for countless Christian music artists with a total of 133 gold, platinum, and multi-platinum records under their company. But this isn't about Bill and Gloria, no. This is about their son, Benji. Born in 1971, Benji Gaither followed in his parents' footsteps of being an entertainer almost instantly, writing his first song at the age of 4 and forming his first band at 14. Later in life, he founded an animation company, Live Bait Productions, where he would produce his first feature, Gaither's Pond, The Lure Depths, in 1997. And looking at it, it's a little obvious that this is the studio's first foray into 3D animation.
Hey, Bullfrog!
Hey, it's Carp Lowry and Swanette Pascal. How you kids today?
We're fine, Bullfrog. We're just on our way to a rehearsal with Ben Spearfish for the meeting.
And she took a bite. Well, not really. So then I did, and I got caught. And then I prayed to God, and I guess I made a big flip because I landed at your feet, and well, you saved me again.
The second episode was made in 1999 called Gaither's Pond Fish Tales, and that's the one I grew up watching, so that's one I want to talk the most about. Starting with that change in art direction. You saw the first one from 1997 with the primitive shapes and very simple, very limited in how it looks, but they decided to step up their game for the second one by introducing caricatures of all the actors on the faces of these fish and animals, and it looks insane. It's a lot like JJ the Jet Plane, except in that show they're all like almost like the same. In this one they're like so uncannily like exactly like all these people that are portraying them, which I think is like kind of really cool, even though it looks terrifying. And I looked up all these people. These are like all gospel singers. Everybody probably associated with the Gaither music group in one way or another, and they're just like, yeah, let's just get these people to do it, which is kind of cool. I mean, they're entertainers, so they obviously know a little bit about like acting and performing or presenting yourself. So honestly, like looking through it, it's not like god awful. All right, we're gonna start by watching it, and seizure warning for the first 1 second of the film. Like the Pokemon episode, except way less popular, so like we don't know how many children died from that. Also, love everything's Comic Sans. It's just great. I mean, we all know how infamous it is today, but it's like it's making it for kids. It's the fun. It's the font kids love. So they put it everywhere. It's great.
Vestal Gooseman runs for pawn president. This is gonna be my best newsletter ever.
Love Carp. Love his crazy face that just expands and emotes with everything. I think that's such a charming thing about like old 3D animation is they didn't know really how to do much of anything advanced. Like to make it pop, to zing, to emote yourself, you just gotta... They just decided expand the face, contract it, make it crazy. I mean, it's hilarious to look at, but also just so scary. I know I was so freaked out as a kid seeing that, but it was just so fascinating I couldn't look away. So our main guy, Carp Lowry, he's starting rumors on his blog about just people that he knows. He's just making up a cool story for clickbait. Way ahead of his time.
My remackerels don't look very happy. Buddy, we better scram.
Here's his theme song, and it shows all the characters that you're going to see throughout this. And they put everybody next to the pictures of the people that they're playing, and their names are also like just like very simple puns about the animal that they are and the person's actual name. It's kind of, I don't want to say clever. It's kind of clever, you know? And obviously, I think if you knew like all these people, if you were big on the Gaither vocal band and all their music, you probably know these people, and you're like, oh, Buddy Green, and he's playing a fly, Buddy Greenfly. That's so clever. But I was 4. I didn't know who any of these people were. I mean, obviously, probably not for a 4-year-old to know who these people are. It's just for parents looking at the show and be like, ah. Pivot duck.
Oh, my. Why are you two so out of breath?
Carp's newsletter, what else?
It's kind of crazy, like the action in every shot. The camera's just like, there's so many creative angles, interesting creative angles. They want to get it from like, they just want to make it interesting. I think it's kind of neat. And then you got this one, the one that's the under the leg shot. It's like The Graduate. You're trying to seduce me, Vestal Gooseman, aren't you? Now we see the repercussions of what Carp's done for spreading all these lies, breaking the hearts of all these sad fish who don't know the truth from the lies. Look at him. Oh, it's so sad. Then the puns continue. We got so many references where they change like one word or add a word to make it pond related.
Cults?
From all the major shows, Larry Kingfish Live, Underwater Oprah, Good Morning Pond Dwellers.
It's so clever.
I know it sounds strange, but it's true. And Dennis Rodfrog keeps challenging me to a hoot contest.
You think you're hot? You think you're bad? I ain't afraid of no insect.
We have a Dennis Rodman frog. It's just, I didn't know who that was as a kid. This was weird. This was scary. I didn't like it. Carp gets called out for spewing his lies. And then he decides to break into a song. It's kind of related, but like not really. And so this is where I want to talk about like the music in this. It's like kind of, I mean, they have musical numbers. They have, besides the intro, they have 4 songs that they play throughout. They're like kind of related to the video, except not really. This first one, the being happy one, I mean, obviously Carp's talking about how he's happy. But if you just like listen to the song, he's clearly singing about like how God changed his life because it's gospel music. But that's not what's going on in the story. I was looking into this. I was like, they probably just took songs from their catalog, it's the Gaither music group. They've got all these songs. I think that's exactly what they did. This one was also written in 1999, the year this came out. So maybe they wrote it for this and just made it like kind of fit. This one's probably the closest one, but the rest of them were definitely written years before this came out. So there's definitely no way they were written for this. And for most of them, you can kind of tell that it has nothing to do with this. They just want to put something in there. You get all these crazy visuals. This is the music sections are where they really go ham with the creative shots and just flashing lights in your face and just doing this and that. It's kind of cool. Like I've said, this is kind of all over the place, and I kind of like it that way.
Teacher said it seemed like bad luck followed me.
It's very literal visual storytelling. Some of these visuals, just like bad luck. How do we visualize big word? Probably Comic Sans. Not this one. Most other ones. Also, all the underwater shots kind of freak me out because they're all hazy and weird. It's like otherworldly. Obviously, it's just under the pond, under the water.
Somebody stop me!
More good examples of where they're really pushing the visuals of the face. Like, obviously, they had to model the faces based on these actors, and I think they did a pretty good job of, like, you put them side to side, you can tell who's who, but then it's like, really nothing they can do except, like, extrude stuff, stretch stuff, and it doesn't look great. It's freaky. It's freaky fun. Look at how scary Carp is here. I don't like it. I'm not sleeping well tonight. You're not sleeping well tonight. Carp Lowry's in my dreams.
Vestal Gooseman's just who we need to lead this pond for the new millennium.
She's got my vote.
Big Bass has been in charge here long enough.
Here we see more of Vestal Gooseman getting in trouble for just Carp's lies getting out there. Everybody thinking that she's actually running for president. And they love it. They absolutely love her. They're like, yes, I would definitely vote for her. She's fantastic. And it's just like, wow. Obviously, Vestal's like, no, Big Bass is running the show, and you're all going to be happy with it. But there's so many people who'd rather vote for Vestal. It makes you think, like, Big Bass really doing that good of a job? A lot of people are singing a different tune, it seems.
We know what Carp's newsletter said, but we're telling you it's not true.
Here we have a lovely performance by Howard Goodman as Howard Gooseman. Probably approaching a very old age at this point, as you can kind of tell. Probably didn't get a lot of lines with him, and I think the funniest one is right after Vestal stops talking, he just puts in,
And if you ask me, things are just fine the way they are.
Okay, let's go.
okay, let's go. It's just the perfect way to move on from any conversation that you're trying to get out of. It's the perfect way out of the Midwest goodbye. I guess I gotta start using that.
Okay, let's go.
Here's our next song. This one's I Wouldn't Take Nothing from My Journey Now. This one definitely has the most not to do with anything else in the video. It's just a lovely song between the geese singing about how much they love God. What else are you gonna do? And I only know the title of that one because they say it at the credits. Up until that point, I had no idea what the song was called, or really mostly anything they were saying, especially the chorus, because I can't understand a word they're saying. It's done from like a live recording, probably done like many years ago from an audience, and I just don't know what they're saying for most of it. I mean, eventually I kind of pieced it together, but I had to listen to it like 20 times. Also, look at this guy. Technical thing for a moment. So for the texture of the ducks, for like the feather texture, they just put like a little bit of a normal map or a bump map over it to give it a little texture, like fluffy almost. But for this guy who doesn't have a name, I don't think, they just kind of accidentally put that texture on everything, including the beak. So he's got a bumpy beak. He's got a dang old bumpy beak. Poor guy. He looks diseased. Oh, and then this part of the video, it's if that flashbang at the beginning didn't cause your seizures to act up, then I think this part definitely will. They go a little crazy with the flashing lights, and obviously the contrast is insane. And then they just start layering like shots over moving shots. Like I think they have like 3 going at once. And it's just like boom, 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 boom. Look at all these characters. But it just ends up looking insane. I have to look away at this part. I don't like it. There's that scary expanding of the beats to be like, no! It looks insane. And I love it, obviously.
I can't believe Miss Vestal's making me run a retraction.
Here's Carp throwing a classic Carp fit. Because he doesn't want to take back all the things he has. Because he has power now. He has that power. He doesn't want to give that up. We get some lovely shots of him emoting.
I've got to stick with the facts. I've got to only tell the real story.
Starting to realize these characters don't exactly abide by the laws of physics. A little bit of that. A little bit of...
I didn't know you were there.
I didn't have a choice. This is where...
Alright, forget this conversation. My favorite character is that butterfly. And it's just like frantically flies everywhere and goes straight to the screen. It's like a 3D movie. It's like a Spy Kids 3D reaching out to show you just how cool their effects are. She died. You see more of the aftermath of Carp's doing. Glory's not doing hot.
All day long, people have been plucking my petals and pulling my leaves.
Maybe they have been pulling out her petals because those definitely aren't petals. See, it's like a pre-made turtle texture that they put on to emphasize like a row of petals. That's probably a shortcut they shouldn't have taken. I don't know. She does get a glow up in the later ones. Good on you, Gloria.
I never wanted to hurt any of you.
I know, Carp. I know.
Now we get our third song of the video, completely unrelated to the characters we were just watching. We've got Frog singing about rumors and how they affect you. And this one really puzzled me for a while because it's almost like hyper specific about like this crazy story about like a factory that creates rumors, the rumor mill. And this is the one that I thought like has to be written for the show because it's like so hyper specific to like a visual storytelling. It's like not really too much to do with the show, but like this one had to be written for the show. It was written in 1984. It is far away from this show as possible. And I mean, they put it to good use as in this little children's cartoon. It's fun. There's also the scary one. All the visuals are like dark and scary, and there are these cattails that have no faces. I didn't like that. I ran screaming out of the room. No, I don't think I did. But I didn't like it. Also, I haven't talked much about Gaither's Pond's competition with other shows at the time, specifically VeggieTales. But I'll bring it up here because I was like, this sounds so similar to the Rumor Weed written for VeggieTales. And I looked it up. These shows were made in the exact same year. And I mean, obviously this song was written long ago, but just like the visuals of like how rumors grow and affect people, it's just such a huge, I guess, coincidence. And also the big scary like mechanical stuff obviously like freaked me out as a kid. But now just looking at more creative visual storytelling, the words being like literally manufactured in the factory, it's so weird and it's so funny and bizarre. It's like gossip turning into rumors. It's got all these, honestly, all these different like 3D fonts. It makes me think of like word art. It's like betrayal, lies, deception, me, you. I think it's so funny. I love it. And last, we say goodbye to Johnny Cash Frog, and we go back to Big Bass Bill. Back in the ethereal underwater world, with all that lovely Comic Sans. Big Bass finally figures out that nobody actually likes him, and they'd rather vote for someone else. Found out the hard way.
Your term's not up for another, your term's never up, is it, Big Bass?
His term's never up. This is a dictatorship. That's why people are sick of this guy. Everybody's like, oh, no, we love you. You're doing a great job. But now all of the characters finally come together. They all get their story straight. Carp's been screwing stuff up, and they need to confront him. But not before a little more Dennis Rodfrog, of course.
I ain't no basketball player, and I'm not your lunch either.
Come on, buddy, green flash.
Carp finally admits to everybody what he's been doing, and they're all shocked. Look at this.
She did it?
I can't believe it!
I'm proud of you, Carp.
We're all proud of you.
Great job, Cart. You admitted the truth after screwing absolutely everything up. But you told the truth. Really proud of you. But you still discovered that people don't want Big Bass to be pond president anymore. So he's like, what about me? You all love me. You've all forgiven me. Let's do this.
This is as good a time as any to announce my own candidacy.
But no, didn't work.
Hey, get back here!
Politics can be cruel, can't they?
You can say that again.
Politics can be cruel, can't they?
That is my favorite joke in the whole show. It's also my brother's favorite joke. I showed him, I was like, do you remember when you were like 1 and we watched this? He's like, I vaguely remember all this, but he remembered that joke because it's such a good joke. Because they just play the first part again. You can say that again, he says it again. I think that's hilarious. It's definitely like a last minute joke that they came up like, that would be funny. And it was. I loved it.
And all we have to do is look toward the future.
Happy ending. Let's celebrate with a song. A lovely song that has nothing to do with the plot yet again. It's Highway to Heaven, which is a parody of Highway to Hell, except it's absolutely not. Lots of beautiful visuals, like this guy and these little mini Gloria Gladiolas in the background. Oh, and like the coolest thing about this is the drummer. This crazy looking turtle is going ham at the drums. Hilarious looking face. I think that's been pointed out plenty by other people I've seen online. People love the turtle because he just looks insane. And I'd agree with that. But also, look at the drums he's playing. That's correct. You see these videos online of people like looking at animation being like, what are they really playing? Despite how fairly simple drums are, nobody can animate them correctly, and they do here. This is like one of the few examples that I've seen where somebody actually animates drums correctly. It's just it's just so funny. When I saw that recently, I was like, that's correct. I was in awe that like one of the only correctly animated drums in existence is from Gaither's Pond from 1999. I love that. Piano, that's obviously a lot harder, and also I don't think he knows what he's doing either.
I'll make sure all my stories are accurate before I print them.
Carp tracks all of his statements, and it's all a happy ending. Now we get this.
I wanna be president!
You get a lovely look into the real-life Carp Lowry, Mark Lowry, doing one of his little mini funny songs. Because I think in his group, he was like the funny guy. So he goes on this little rant about how he wants to be president. He just talks politics in a children's cartoon. I didn't get it as a kid. I didn't like it either. Show me the funny fish guy. I don't want to see this guy.
Scary, isn't it?
And there we have it. Gaither's Pond, Fishtails, 1999. They also have bloopers, just like people would think from like Toy Story 2 and Monsters Inc. have those. But this is like actual bloopers from the people recording, and then they just put the characters over it. I think it's really charming.
Will Hankies be minding the toy? I don't have to try to sound country, right?
This guy's my favorite. I've listened to it like 100 times, and I had no idea what he was saying. I could just listen to it for hours, and it's a hilarious little laugh. And if you go back to the scene where that's actually in, they actually gave it to a different character, and they're actually saying, like, well, hankies be mandatory, but he can't say it. It's so funny.
Well, hankies be mandatory.
And that was Gaither's Pond. I absolutely loved it. And, like, people talk about, like, there's the enjoyment from stuff that's really good, and then there's the enjoyment from stuff that's, like, really bad. And obviously, like, animation-wise, kind of bad. But I know that, and I absolutely love it. I think there's a reason for, like, a lot of people to love that, because what's one of the biggest fads on the internet that people are, like, recreating and are desperately in love with? Bowling animations. Bowling animations from the 90s with the same primitive 3D technology. And, like, it's so bizarre and weird, and, like, you can tell there's, like, an uncanniness to, like, the whole thing. I think I get the exact same enjoyment from this as I do from those, so I find joy in that weird stuff. And I think I found joy in it as a kid because it was so bizarre. It's, like, clearly, like, not as well designed as something like VeggieTales or like anything Disney and Pixar were putting out. Because looking back, they obviously like had a huge advantage in the ideas they had. Well, number one, Pixar had Steve Jobs and Disney money, so that's a huge factor in that. But also, like, their first big feature film in 1995, Toy Story, is just a bunch of plastic toys. You can get away with it looking like that because that's exactly what they're supposed to look like. And then VeggieTales, it's like just like shapes with like simple faces on them, and they can do exactly what you think they're going to be doing. When you design something like this, it's like realistic human caricatures. It's so much harder to get something that looks like good out of that. But when you do it like this, you get something that's like weird and like uncanny, which I can find some sort of like enjoyment in that too. It's like a feeling of fear almost. And I just love that. It's like roller coasters. Gaither's Pond is like a roller coaster. A couple more things I want to touch on is just how this company kind of went from there. There were a total of 4 Gaither's Pond shows that they did. There was 2 more after this, and I've watched all of them. They're all online. You can find them on YouTube. And you can tell from watching those, technology was obviously getting a little better, and they were kind of adapting to that, learning just how to like deal with that. And especially in the last one, I think all the new characters are all pretty well designed and put together, but they're also put side to side with all the old characters designed, so it's a little weird having that dichotomy. This is honestly like a ton of fun to watch. Something that's even more fun to watch is another thing they made that also became fairly infamous on the internet. It's called Dorbies. This came out before the episode we just watched and the first Gaither's Pond, which was the production company's first video. And this one I think was Benji's idea to like create original characters. They're all like these little orbs with hands and feet. And the plot is completely nonsensical. Like, we just went through this. There's, like, a plot. It all, despite the, like, disconnected songs, it all flows into a nice story. Dorbies has none of that. It's insane. Kind of like a complete fever dream almost. So that's, like, not only, like, ugly looking, but also, like, insane and, like, kind of like bad storytelling. So that one's a really enjoyable watch too, honestly. I'd recommend checking out that one too. I'll say they did a few things after that, including a thing called Wobots, which is like a Christmas special set in the sci-fi future. But here's where we go down the rabbit hole, is like paying attention to the credits, not from this one, but from the last Gaither's Pond video. I saw a name I recognized, Corey Edwards, and I knew that name from something. I looked it up. He was the creator of Hoodwinked. Hoodwinked, that movie from 2005 that people also say horribly animated. I disagree. It's limited. It's like weird, but I think it's really honestly well done. And the writing on that is like 10 out of 10. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Corey and Benji obviously worked together on that last Gaither's Pond video and Wobots. I think Wobots was created by Corey Edwards himself. And then Corey went on to create Hoodwinked, one of the greatest movies ever made. And then looking at those credits, you see another familiar face, Benji. Benji was in Hoodwinked. He was the goat. He was the goat who sang about being prepared. Every kid's favorite part of that movie, that was Benji. Obviously, Benji knows how to sing. He knows how to act. He's actually looking at his career after this. He's mainly, from what I've seen, a voice actor. He's done various things, a couple of video games, couple of other productions, and also helps like produce music. So he seems to be doing pretty well for himself. I think he should be proud of what he made, because I certainly enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it as a 4-year-old, and it really stuck with me, mainly because it looks so insane, and that really sticks with you. And that one joke.
Politics can be cruel, can't they?
It was amazing. Well, this has been Gaither's Pond. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, maybe I'll look more into crazy like CG stuff like this. Maybe I'll make a Dorbies video. I think Dorbies is fantastic in its own right for all these crazy reasons. So I'd love to talk about that too. So thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Don't forget to tip well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.